On this oil can. Oh, geez, squeeze, Edith. Trip there with a cord. YouTubers, it's been a while since I've seen this old girl on the ground. I know her wheels are probably going in two different directions because we still got the front end apart, still have the oil pan off of it. Because my goal today, I don't have a lot of time today, got a lot of things going on in the world right now, but my goal is to get the intake surface cleaned up. And I don't even have to do that if I don't want, but I'm going to get ready to put the new cam in, which is what I want to get done today. But if I put the new cam in and then I scrape the intake and I get something dropped in to the new cam with all the lube on it, that'd be bad, right? So right now, I've got what we call pigs. They're just basically very absorbent, like blankets. Got those laid down in the valley pan. Well, I'll just show you. But anyway, the goals today is to put this camshaft in that engine and to get the gasket surfaces cleaned up and ready to put this baby back together. So that's the goal. I'd be happy if I just got the cam in it today and maybe start assembling the upper cylinder. But one thing we are going to do, that's probably not going to happen, because before I put the cam in, I am going to put the oil pan back on, and I'm going to put some oil in the oil pan, and I want to turn the oil pump by hand, with a drill. Okay? Turn the oil pump before I put the cam in there. And that way I can flush all of that lubricant through this engine and get rid of all the metal that may or may not be still in there from when the other cam went. So basically we're going to go ahead and scrape these gasket surfaces, and we're going to put some oil in it. We're only going to put the oil pan on with like 2 bolts, maybe 4. Put some oil in it, just a quart or 2. I think I'm going to use a little bit of transmission fluid as well. And that way, that'll help all the detergent, so we'll just wash all that crap out of there. Run the oil pump for a little while, run it all through the engine, try to get it cleaned up, dump that oil out, clean the oil pan back up, then start to put things back together, okay? We don't want to put the oil pan on permanent until we put the timing cover on, because the gasket I bought is a 1-piece. I guess I could show you that. It's a 1-piece gasket. Okay, so what this thing does is it eliminates leaks in the corners, because this is where they're normally going to leak, is in this areas here. Okay, so by getting this is a very high quality gasket. It wasn't cheap, but I like these 1-piecers. The only problem is if you have to pull the cam out again, for God, hopefully not, but if you do, then you don't, you got to be really careful, because you can damage this, and then then you got to take the pan back off. But I like the 1-piece ones because they don't leak as easily. So that's what we're going to use. So we have to put the timing cover in first, and then we're going to put this on the pan and then stick her up in there. So we have to get the cam and everything situated, so we have to clean everything first. So it's going to be a little bit of a process. I'm not sure how far we'll get today. I should probably look at the camera, right? I'm just showing you the gasket. But anyway, yeah, we're just going to get as far as we can, hopefully get the cam in. I'm not sure how much time I got. It's getting late in the afternoon already. And tomorrow is just used up. So I'm going to have to go away for a few days. It happens, to do some training for my job. And so that's going to make this weekend very, very short, because I have to leave tomorrow afternoon to get there, because it's far, far away. Anyway, here's where we're at. Let's get started. This is what I was talking about. These are basically, they're called pigs. There's a bunch of debris in there anyway, and I'm going to have to clean all that out. But this is going to hopefully limit what falls in there when I clean this gasket surface. We got to get these squeaky clean, and then we'll take these pigs out, clean up in the valley pan, and then we're going to do the whole flush thing and go from there. So anyway, this is where we're at. Get this gasket surface cleaned up, and and yes, I'm still waiting for the fuel, the oil filters. So I mean, you know, gotta keep busy. Plus, this is going to be part of our flush system, so we just don't want a bunch of oil leaking out of the engine. We're not going to put gaskets and all that because we're going to have to clean everything up when we're done. But I do want to get everything as clean as possible. And this was one of those looks. I got a little peeling going on right here, so we might do a little bit of a redneck restoration on this bad boy. And basically what I mean by that is just, you know, spray paint it. So we're definitely going to put a new seal in there. So we'll do that before. No, we'll probably do that after. No, before I paint it. Just because I don't really want any overspray on it, but on the flip side, well, yeah, well, anyway, you know what I mean. We're going to pop this seal out, paint it, and then we're going to put it on dry before we flush the engine, and hopefully it'll keep the majority. We're not going to spin the engine or anything, so it's not going to be a big deal. It shouldn't splash any oil out of here or anything. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying. If you don't know what I'm saying, neither do I, so don't worry about it. If I left it sitting in here long enough, it'll actually just take this rubber right off of here. It just eats all the silicone, rubber, Permatex. I've always called it Permatex because back in the day, Permatex was the only company that made it. Now you got 9,625 other companies that make it, and so it is what it is. But I let it soak probably 10 minutes. Still got to get the old gasket off. This softens it up a little bit, so that's another reason why. I'm going to get a little bit more stout of a brush here. Clean it off. Yeah, that's good enough. Alright. So that's probably clean enough. And we'll I don't want to put it in dry. So I put oil in it, make a little bit of a mess, but not too bad. That way the pump is already primed. And now it tells me to torque this to 65 pounds. So that's what we're gonna do next. I can hear a couple of you going, but Dave, there's no gasket in there. And you'd be right, there's not. That is how we're gonna do this. This is how we do the brand new dance now. Nope, we don't put a gasket on the oil pump. It is such a machine fit. These two fit, they're so well machined, it's so flat that they should seal just by being together. And of course the torque spec. I think there may be a gasket you can buy, but I would think if you put a gasket in here and it blew out, that would be bad, very bad. So by having a very nicely machined surface, this seals, and you won't have, even if oil oozes out of here just a tiny bit, it isn't really going to affect anything. But I don't think, because if a gasket blew out, you get a gasket everywhere and it blows out in one spot, you're going to lose oil pressure. And that would be bad, right? Really bad. So anyhow, there we go. We got our torque to 65 pounds, which is what it calls for on a big block Chevrolet. And I've tested this pump, but when I took it out, it's working great. So we're going to just pop that baby back in. Now, I did do a rattle can restoration on the oil pan. So we're going to go ahead and pop that on with just a couple of bolts. And then we're going to do my little cleansing here. We're going to do a colon cleanse on the old girl. As you can see, I've got this lovely rattle can restoration I did on this oil pan. Oh, geez, squeeze, Edith. Okay, I had a minor incident with the camera. I got all tangled up in the lights and the camera and the action, and the camera started to die, so I plugged it in, and then I tripped on the cord and caused all sorts of carnage. Now, you'll notice I never put a gasket on the oil pan, and I'm not going to either. It's a little loose. I'll go ahead and snug that up though. I'm not going to. I'll explain why. Because we're going to do the flush, right? So I don't want to go putting a fresh gasket in there and have to booger stuff all up. So we're just going to leave the pan loose. It might make a little bit of a mess, but the idea is we're just going to put the pan on, put a couple of quarts of oil in it. I think I'm going to put 1 quart transmission fluid, 1 quart synthetic oil. Never ever run these old engines on synthetic oil. Always run them on conventional oil with the zinc additive. I just use the 1540 diesel oil, Rotella specifically. If it's good enough for my diesel, it's good enough for me. And so I'm going to put some, I'm not going to put that in here right now though. I'm going to use synthetic because we just want to clean it. Synthetic's got a lot of crap in it to clean stuff. If you got a sludgy engine, that'll clean it out. So we're going to put synthetic oil and a little bit of transmission fluid, and we're just going to circulate the pump and just try to clean all the crud. Just going to circulate it, and get this cleaned out. Now, I'm losing daylight. Now, that doesn't really matter because I'm in the shop, but I do have a wife, and she expects me to spend a little time with her because I will be leaving this weekend and won't be back for almost a week when I go to training, so I got to think of family. So you guys probably won't see me or this car. Well, you usually see me about once a week anyway, but this car, I'm going to finish it up next weekend. Okay? I ran out of time this weekend. I just had way too much to do to prepare for this week. I got to go away. But by the time you see this, it'll be like, you know, a minute for you guys. For my wife, however, it's a week. So I'm going to stop here, and we'll get a little bit of oil in this later, and we'll clean her out, and that'll be that. So I will see you next week. Boom! It's next week. Actually, it's 2 weeks later. I had to go to some training at my job, and then the following week, I forget what happened. I had some jobs come in, bunch of busy. I think next week's going to be a bunch of busy too, But I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's like Thanksgiving or something. So I get a few days off to, you know, get stuff done. So hopefully we're going to get pretty far in the next day or two. We're going to start today. I'm waiting for some oil filters. I thought I had some in stock, and I do not. Who doesn't have Chevy oil filters in stock? Well, I mean, a lot of Mopars. I don't know how. I don't know. I just don't know. But anyhow, this is what we're doing while we're waiting for the oil filters to show. I really wanted to clean the engine out. Remember I told you we're going to put a little bit of oil in the pan. I think I'm going to go straight tranny fluid this time. And I'm going to pour the tranny fluid. I'm going to just go with a couple of quarts. I think I got a gallon. I'm going to probably maybe put a gallon. You know, that's 3 or 4 quarts. Maybe less. I don't know. I really only need a couple quarts. And I plan on using really good transmission fluid because I want... They got a lot of detergents in them. You know, transmission fluid is like full of detergents. So I'm going to run that through the system, and then I'm going to drain it, and then I'm going to put a couple of quarts of oil in the system, and I'm going to circulate it to get the transmission fluid out of there. And I don't care if a little bit stays in, because you know it's fine for breaking in. But we do want to get the majority of it out. When we get that out, put a thicker oil in for break-in purposes. And then I'm going to run it again with that oil to get the rest of it out, because the detergents in the transmission fluid are going to clean out all the crap. And then I want to put oil back in to go ahead and captivate that crap. We'll run it for a little while, run it through the filters, and then I'm going to change on the filter. Okay? And once I change on the filter, then I'm going to put, I think, let's see, yeah. Then we're going to put the cam in. But while we're waiting for the cam, well, to put the can in. And while we're waiting for filters, because I need filters, right? The whole idea of circulating is to let it run through the filter and keep going around and around until the filter catches all the crap. So, anyway, here we are. You're wondering what the little box is? Well, it's nothing special. It's a lifter. Okay? But it is a solid lifter. This is not a... You know, I can't see nothing without my glasses. But anyhow, it's a solid lifter, and if you look inside of a solid lifter, you will see that it sits way, way down inside the lifter. Now, the hydraulic lifter comes all the way to the top, all right? But when you push on it, it goes down. This is where it ends up. But when you have a hydraulic cushion in there, they do get hard, but it's still a cushiony hard, right? I don't know. But you do tend to lose, I'm not going to say you lose lift, but you can put more lift, because you can put more lift in a solid lifter cam. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. It's Saturday, and it's a holiday Saturday. Like today's Veterans Day. Thanks to you veterans. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have the freedom that we have. Well, I mean, going back a ways, of course. But I appreciate you guys every day. I'm civil service, have been for many, many, many years, and you know, so I know what it's like to work for the government. And so sometimes the government, you know, doesn't exactly treat you right. I just got a friend that retired from the Marine Corps, and he put 15 years in. God bless him. So I appreciate you veterans. Thank you very much for what you do. But back to the show. Anyhow, so the hydraulic lifters have a little cushion, so things are quieter, but you tend to lose a little performance. I'm not going to say you lose a lot, but you do, I think. It's like anything else. Direct connection, like a 4-speed, you're always going to lose a little bit of power, lose a little bit through your torque converter on an automatic. Well, you'll never outshift one, that's for sure. But, you know, so these are kind of the same way. These are like going to manual steering, or they're like going to a 4-speed or 5-speed as opposed to an automatic. You're getting rid of the hydraulic connection, if you will. And these are just going to ram right on that camshaft. And they say, I don't know who they really is, but they say you can go with a bigger, higher lift on a solid lifter cam, only because you're not going to get that, I don't know what to call it, that you can have valve into piston things happening, you know, things. Because of the lift on the hydraulic, you can get valves to float. That's where they're float. Okay, so you can get them to float more. With a solid connection like this, valve float is lesser. Okay, So I'm going to treat these just like, if you'll notice, they have a hole. See the little hole in there? Okay? And then there's a little hole in there. So they still allow oil to go through them and up to the push rods, and then, you know, of course, oil your rocker arms. And so because of that little hole, we want to make sure all our oil galleries, whew, I got that out without getting tongue-tied. I can't believe it. So we want to make sure the engine's clean. That's what we're going to do next. As soon as the oil filters show up, we're going to go ahead and clean the engine block from the inside out. Okay? But what I'm going to do while we're waiting is I've got myself a, you know, oil can cut. All right, I cut it, you know, just took the old top off it. And I'm just going to put these in here, and I'm going to try to lay them in. You always get really messy doing this. I'm going to try very hard to have them with this end up. Okay, like this, with this end up. Reason being is because the fluid's going to want to go in, and the air is going to want to go out. Kind of like a bleeder screw, always have it on the top. So you want the hole on the top. So the purpose of this is for the little hole on the side to let some oil in, and the air will go out. But if I put them this way, probably not going to happen so good, right? So we're going to try to keep them with the sunny side up. I should have probably opened all the boxes first, so y'all ain't sitting there. See that? I got them all at once. Now if I drop one, I'm going to be not happy. But anyway, I get my can again here. I should lay it on the bench so that I don't make any mistakes. But I'm going to live a little dangerous today. And what's going to happen is I'm going to run out of some room on this can, and I'm going to go ahead and pour some oil in it. I probably should maybe put, dadgum, open it, I said. There we go. I probably should put him, just open up another can and use the same thing. And I'm not sure. What do you think? Do you think, it's not wanting to go. Do you think, there we go, that I should cut another can? That way they're all, you know, uniform. Or should I just double up on these and then fill this can higher? I don't know. I have 2. And I still have 4. I think we can probably get away with using the same can. Let's see if they stand upright. If they stand upright, well, oh yeah, they stand up perfect. So okay. Oh yeah, they're just happy as can be. They're all standing up nice and easy, you know, perfect. So I think we're just going to fill her up. So hang tight. I'm going to get me some Earl. I'm going to use regular oil for these because by the time we get to putting these in, we will have all the transmission fluid and everything out. So we're going to use regular, and y'all can criticize. I don't really know. In the old days, they used to recommend straight 30 weight oil. Okay, but today, if you buy straight 30 weight oil, it may or may not, probably not, have zinc. Okay, and if y'all know, the death of many cams is the lack of zinc. The death of this cam that I just took out of this engine was probably lack of zinc. I'm almost positive I was using hot rod oil, which has zinc, and I'm almost positive I put zinc in it. But I did for many years, and I'm talking many, did use either regular synthetic or regular oil, not realizing that they needed zinc. So probably only the last few years of this engine's life was I starting to use zinc, and I'm guessing probably the damage was done. But it went while I was using the zinky oil, but I was letting it sit, and who knows? I don't really know why. It went, it just started running, it ran good, and then it ran bad, and then it ran worse, and then it got really bad and started popping. And that's when the lifters completely collapsed and the cam, bye-bye. So, what came first, the chicken or the egg, or the cam or the lifter? I don't know. But we're going to make sure that doesn't happen to this one. That's why I went with a solid lifter, so a collapsed lifter will no longer be a problem. Okay? No longer will it ever be a problem. So, we're going to eliminate whatever problems we can. I really wanted to go with a roller, even a non-hydraulic or like a standard solid lifter roller. But they're kind of few and far between. Most rollers are hydraulic, believe it or not. But a roller, I kind of reasoned within myself, because I'm not redoing the block, I'm not starting fresh, I'm putting all this in an old block. There's the potential of wiping this cam too. And I'd rather be out $200-300 for a cam set than to be out $1,200 or $900 or whatever the case may be. If we wipe the new cam and we take some of the lifters with it, lifters are expensive for a roller cam. The cam itself's not too bad, $300-something maybe. But the lifters, oh my gosh, because this is not a normal, it wasn't originally a roller, so they have the retrofit rollers, right? So anyway, I don't know, I'm jibber jabbering. But anyway, it's good information, right? I'm going to go ahead and fill this with oil, and then hopefully the oil filters will be here by then. Gosh, they're taking a long time. But by then, these will be soaking, because like I said, I want to get the air out of them. We are going to put these in when we do. We're going to still put the oil shaft in when we get it all together without the distributor, of course. We're going to go ahead and get oil pressure back up and let it run through these anyway. But I'd like to get them, you don't have to pump them up like the hydraulics, you soak them, because it takes less time to pump them up. With these, we just want to make sure we've got oil in the system. So anyway, okay, I'm done talking now. Let's get some oil. Now if you'll notice, you'll see some little bubbles coming up. You see them all? You see the little bubbles bubbling up. And that is the air that's in the lifters coming out of the lifters. And you can see the little bubble going right there from that one. And there's some popping up just randomly because that's the ones on the bottom. But there goes another one in that one. So we're just going to let it sit there and percolate for a while. And that should hopefully get all the air out of these lifters and get them to where they're, got oil in them. Lots of oil. Because we don't want anything dry going on. Just for the how-tos and YBs, you'll notice I put the other half of the bottle back on. And I put the cap. And that's just to keep trash out of there while they're percolating. You just don't want any dirt if you can avoid it. One thing I highly recommend, and that is, putting things in bags that are marked. It makes it a lot easier to put together. And right now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple of these bolts in the timing cover just to hold the timing cover up so that I can run the oil through the system and not make a big mess. Now if you'll notice, I have the oil pan drop down a little bit so that I can get the cover on without any big deal. I'm probably going to put 3. I've got one hanging on the top. I want to go ahead and put another one. Am I in there? Oh, there's a pin. Forgot about that. There's a little alignment pin. There we go. Now, this paint job not come out real super good. Most of it's hidden anyway. I'm contemplating putting on a chrome one, but I heard the chrome ones are prone to leakage. I don't know. I've never had leakage out of one, but then again, I don't remember ever using them that much, so I don't know, whatever. So I'm just going to put 3 bolts in. I'm going to zing them down real quick, and then I'm going to get underneath this thing. I'm going to bolt the oil pan right back up against it. If you'll notice, I'm not putting any seals in this thing. I'm not putting any gaskets in this thing. Because all we're going to do next is, after this is all bolted up, I am going to turn the oil pump and suck up some of the oil and just let it run. I'm just going to run the oil pump and just let it run and see how much crap I can get out of this thing. I'm going to put some oil in the engine. I'm going to start with transmission fluid. I'm going to try to, we cleaned all these out by hand, but I'm still going to try to get every oil galley. I'm just going to put some transmission fluid in here. And hopefully that's in itself is washing everything down off the crank and off the engine. I'm going to say I probably put close to a gallon in here. Now the good thing about it is this particular fluid I also use for unsticking seized engines, and I'll still be able to use it for that because I'm pouring it in, places that things shouldn't be. So like in the combustion chamber and what have you. So it can be reused. I've got a bucket of used, if you will. But now we've got all of this in here, and I'm going to, well, I don't know why I've insisted on keeping this in the way, because it's got to go bye-bye anyway. I think it was for ease of putting it back, but I've scrambled up all the wiring anyway. So I'm just going to pull all the wiring out of here, because I'm changing these wires anyhow. I know you're going to be saying, well, why are you going to change the wires? Because I think on one of my other videos I've changed these wires not that long ago, but they've always kind of been in the way of the headers because they're 90 degree, and I have purchased some 45 degree. And so instead of going, because the 45 was putting it right into the header in some cases, so instead of doing that, I'm going to put the 45s on there, and hopefully we may have to mix them. I don't know, but I can do that because I bought another set because I'm going to be building a small block here very soon, and so I can simply mix and match as I need to for both engines. So sometimes maybe 45 isn't good, and other times maybe a 90's not good. And anyway, we're gonna get these out of the way because I need to, there we go. I don't think "t" is actually a word, but when I'm not speaking properly, "t" works just fine. Alright, so I got all this junk out of the way. It's good junk, but it's junk. And I made a tool. You can buy them, but I made one. And we're going to stick it down in that hole and make water. Well, make oil. I'm going to circulate the oil through this engine. Probably going to leak everywhere. But the engine's not spinning, so maybe not. We'll find out. Anyway. Now you can spend money on a fancy tool, or you could take an old screwdriver. This is just a really long old screwdriver, very old as you can tell, square shank. And what I did is I ground the end. You could leave it square if you want, but I ground the end so that it's, round. And then you get a socket. Just sacrifice a socket. The idea of the socket is it has to fit over that cap. If you look at the pump, you'll see it's got that little plastic, and or you can buy metal ones now. Well, okay, you've been able to buy metal ones for 20 years now. But anyway, you look at that little cap, and this has to fit over that cap, okay? And you're just going to slide this down in here. You can weld it, but I leave this so it'll, a little freedom to go where it's got to go. Just, it's not going to fall off. You got to make sure you got a size it won't fall off. So the screwdriver has to be big enough so that it won't fall off. If you got a smaller screwdriver, this usually, I don't know, this is a big one. But if you got a long, skinny one, maybe you'd have to get a smaller socket. But the same size here, but bigger than. But anyway, make it so it doesn't fall off. And then you just stick it on there like that, and it's going to look like that. Okay? And then I'm going to put a drill on this end, and I'm just going to stick it down on top of the oil pump. And now this particular oil pump goes clockwise. Some don't. Okay? It'll suck the wrong direction if you go the wrong direction, and you'll be pulling engine oil out. But this one already has oil in it. You'll know right off if you're going the wrong way because you won't feel oil pressure. Okay? Because it's going to try to be sucking from up beyond, the earth beyond. If you go in the right direction, you'll suddenly feel it get tighter. The drill will change sound. This one may start right off because I did fill it with oil before I put it in. So if that oil is still in there, it'll probably have pressure almost immediately. I'm trying to think if I've got, if there's oil. I think I did take the oil pressure gauge off of this, so we're going to have to put that back on because without the oil pressure gauge we're going to make a mess. So anyhow, let me check on that. I think I did take the oil pressure gauge off of this. I've got a little one that I can read it. I'm going to put that one in first. Alrighty, here we go. Now keep in mind this is not going to work on the tried to get you a better angle here so you can actually see. You're not going to see anything really here, but you can see down inside here. See if you can see what's going on in there. Oh yeah, see the oil? That's basically what we're doing. Now you can really see it. I'm probably making a mess on the floor because there's no gasket. Now I don't know what the RPM range of this drill is, but that's some good oil pressure right there. I've been letting this relax for a little while, basically so it'll drain as far as it's going to drain. I only got one leak, oddly enough, and that's because there's nothing rotating right now, slinging oil anywhere. So it's just going through the galleys, and it didn't make much of a mess. There was one small leak on the back corner, but not too bad really. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull the drain plug back out. Holy moly, who put that in there? Must have been Hercules. No, I'm kidding, it's not that tight. But it was snugged. But I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to take, well, maybe I better jack this up a little bit so we don't make a big mess. And I'm going to take all of this out. I'm going to let it drain as completely as possible. And I'm not going to pull the pan. It's only got a couple of bolts holding it. I guess I could. And totally clean it out. Or am I? Yeah, I might. Just because it's only one bolt, really. 3 bolts, actually. So I'm going to drain this out, and I'm going to pull the pan. I'm going to clean the pan. Because there's a bunch of... Oh, wait, I didn't want to do that, did I? Oops. My bad. I forgot. I wanted to save this fluid. Hang on. Alright. Well, we'll save a little bit of it. Alright, stop her, Eddie. Pit stop. Stop right where we are. Snug this up. Yeah, I'm going to save this. I think I told you that already. I'm going to save it because I can use it for when you get 4-speed transmissions that lock up, or even engines when they lock up. You can pour this old stuff in there. I usually filter it through a paint filter, and I'll put it in an old transmission or something. See if 4-speed, 5-speed transmission, not automatics, because they got this in there anyway. But yeah, we try to get them broke up. Same with engines. You can soak the pistons in this stuff and rods in this stuff, and a lot of times it'll let it go loose. So anyway, enough said. I'm just going to save this and put it in a bucket that I already have for used transmission oil for the purpose of freeing up transmissions, and then I'm going to pull the pan. I put 3 bolts in this pan. I put one in the back because that was helping it stay tilted towards the rear so that my so that I could get the front cover on. Now I just need these 2 in the middle. I've emptied the pan completely, and I'm just going to take this last one out. Take it out by hand because I don't have 3 arms. I wish I did. 3 hands would be very handy. But I don't have 3 hands, so I'm just going to take this one out with my fingertippies so I can hold the pan and take this one out. Not have to set down the ratchet. There we go. Couple more turns. Oh, well, I threw that one on the floor anyway. Alright. Now. Ooh, baby. She's still dripping a little bit. So we're just going to leave the pan here-ish. Oh, this go quite a bit in there. For you all, this all looks like a few minutes. For me, this is days. You know, pulling the pan, cleaning the pan, putting the pan back on, running the blah 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 blah, doing all this. The preparation for putting the cam in is a lot of time. Not necessarily hard by any means, but a lot of time. And so I fast forward things, I play music, you know, I cut things out, but in reality, hours and hours and hours go by cleaning things and painting things and taking things off and on. You know, you'd be amazed at how long a half an hour or 45-minute video actually takes to make. This one's probably going to be an hour, I'm guessing, ish. Just because I refused to stop at the point I was at last week or a couple weeks ago when I didn't have any of this cleaning done. I want to get ready to stab the cam in next week. Okay, I don't think we're going to get that far today. It'd be nice if we did, but I don't like to have it sitting in the engine for any length of time. So we're going to get it all prepped, ready to go, so all I have to do next week is slide it in, start putting things back together. But in the meantime, this is where we're at. I've got a little bit of excess oil in the pan, and I'm just going to get the most of it out that I can. The good thing about it is I'm not feeling any grit whatsoever inside this pan. You know, when I'm feeling it, okay, I lied, maybe a little bit. Okay, so I'm just kind of getting the excess oil off of here. lick his snot. So there's no gritty substances left in the pan. And I'm just kind of running my hand all through here to make sure it stays that way. Now there are rough surfaces on the pan, believe it or not, but I'm not feeling any gritty surfaces, so that's awesome. Alright, there was a little bit before. Now we're just trying to get the residue of all the stuff we put out in here. We'll stand it up on end so that we can let all of if there's anything left, it's going to run down. We are getting a little bit of paper towel. And again, that's what my hand is for. Oof, I felt a lot right there. See? It's one good thing about your hand is you can also feel it. And I just felt a whole spot of gritty. See that? Somehow they got past me. So we're going to try to get... We may need to get a little bit of... Hello out there! Yeah, we might need to... Now while you let this sit for a minute, you'll see that it'll take more oil. And if you've ever watched any of my oil change videos, you'll see that I'll do this 3-4 times till the oil filter's full. Now some filters are mounted cattywampus. You obviously can't put very much in there, but I try putting some. Makes a little bit of a mess. Like my MR2, the oil filter went in sideways. But if you fill it halfway, it'll still be able to go sideways. See, I can turn it, nothing comes out. It's probably 3/4 full right now, so you can do that. But this one goes straight up and down, so we're going to fill it all the way. Do this a couple more times. Yep, there we go. I remember when COVID was coming around, they told us, when you're washing your hands, sing the happy birthday song twice, and that will be enough of washing. This is kind of the same thing, so let's see. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday dear whoever, happy birthday to you. Okay. Oh, we gotta do it twice. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday dear whoever, happy birthday to you. And if it's your birthday, happy birthday. And that'll be enough. This is pretty much, there we go. She's pretty full now, so we'll go ahead and put this bad boy on. I think, I don't know, you gotta be able to see me if I go over here. Hello, yeah you can. So, I'm gonna put it on. That's the hardest part of this whole YouTube situation, is just making sure you can see your camera, see what you're doing. Yeah, that's good enough. This time we're just going to go with some 5W30. I'm using synthetic because it's what I got. We're just going to pour this in. And after this, it's just going to be more of the same. I think I'm going to end it here. I do this a lot, don't I? I'm going to end it here. I've got it draining. Can you see that? Okay. I've got it draining. Man, that 5W30 synthetic stuff is slickery. Man, when I pulled the oil filter out, it got all over my hands. And it's like, you know, I had a bath in aloe. I'm like, my hands are soft. But anyway, that stuff's really slick. No wonder they say synthetics are supposed to be superior, but evidently they're not, because if you run synthetics in your flat tappet cam car, you're probably going to lose it. And it's not because the oil isn't adequate so much as it is there's no additive to keep it to stick to the parts. Zinc is like a coating. You put your zinc in there and it coats the engine with zinc, I guess, and so it protects it on startup, you know. So I don't know the whole oil analogy thing of it, or the slickeries of it, or the viscosities, or I don't understand all that stuff. All I know is you gotta have zinc on a flat tappet cam. But also during break-in, they don't want you to put any additives, but I don't know if they meant zinc. But I'm going to use Rotella to start this up. This was just 5W30 synthetic. It's 530 because I wanted a thinner oil, again, to flush. Okay, what I didn't show you, well, I showed you for a little while, but I didn't sit there and show you the whole 20 minutes. You know what I mean? But I did flush it for quite some time with the oil in it. And it doesn't, I mean, I've still got oil all over my hands, and I don't feel any grit whatsoever, thank God. I'm going to leave it draining over the week. I know that sounds excessive, but I've got the bucket under it. I've got the oil plug out of it, and I am just going to let that thing drip dry for the rest of the week. So I'm going to end the video here. I do want to thank you for watching. Next week, God willing, we are going to put the gaskets on it, seal up the engine. We're going to stab the cam in it, put everything back on it, and if everything goes right, we'll fire this baby up. At the very least, we'll get her back together near fired up, but my goal is to get it fired up. I think, wait a minute, is this the Thanksgiving weekend? Well, nonetheless, my goal is to have this fired up by Thanksgiving weekend, because I got a long weekend from work, so I'll have time here in the shop. My wife is cooking up a turkey, so I'll have to take a little time to get fatter. I need to lose some of this, but whatever. Nonetheless, thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. If you subscribed, you guys rock! I don't want to forget you all. Y'all are the ones that got me started. Basically the stepping stone, you know, to getting going. So thank you so much for subscribing. If you haven't, please do so. Thanks for watching.